What's up, guys? Chester here. Swear I'm not wearing the same shirt every day. I just did 3 videos in this one day. But as you can see, we started the creeper farm. I don't have the early footage of the start, but this is a pretty much good start. Um, I'm not the best with like redstone designs and all that, so I get all of my farms and stuff from somebody named JC Plays. He's been making videos for a very long time, and he explained things perfectly, step by step, block by block. And in his older videos, he used to even show you what the exact materials you need. But I know that's probably a lot of work, so I understand why he doesn't do it anymore. But I very much appreciate him for all his farms and hard work. I will put his channel in the description if you do want to check him out. So as you can see right here, I debated jumping into the water because this up and down and back and forth with no elytras, because the first time I did this farm, I had an elytra, was so much easier, but without it, it's just so much back and forth. And then on the scaffolding, just holding the R3 to crouch all the way down, holding the X was better, but the R3 was just so uncomfortable to hold for so long, and it's so annoying. So elytras would have came so much in handy right now. As you can see, I'm checking chests, but I had brought all my materials over here so I don't have to keep running back and forth from the house. And as you can see here, I am not joking about all those trapdoors you needed. Um, it was definitely a grind, but like a chill grind, so it wasn't that bad. Just listen to music and mind a bunch of trees because I knew I was gonna need to make a lot of trapdoors. So and a bunch of chests for the storage room. Here goes that annoying scaffold again. Yeah, if I had to suffer through it so many times, you at least have to suffer and sit here and see me suffer. So basically, you alternate between trapdoors and things. You basically fill in all the gaps with something, so you guarantee only a creeper being able to spawn in the spots. And then they see trapdoors as solid blocks, so eventually I will fill those gaps in too with trapdoors. But it is a lot of work, and I did this just to show off. And when JC does it, he builds 6 layers, as you see. I started my second one, but because I made more materials than I really needed, and it doesn't hurt to make the farm more efficient, I did 9, so an additional 3 layers of these little module things where they spawn. So the farm is pretty efficient. It's pretty good. I still had a bunch of buttons left over. I made too many buttons. I overestimated that, but I'll figure out a use for them. For now, they'll just sit near the farm in the chest downstairs, waiting to be used one day, probably for decorations, because buttons are great for decorations. Uh, yeah, so it's just me working on the same exact thing as the bottom layer, and had to do that 9 times over. It was a whole lot of block placing this day, whole lot. Q, bring me the horizon. It never ends. So funny enough, I had 2 deaths working on this project. I thought I was gonna be clean, but this one is one of them, and it's so dumb. I was being impatient, and I jumped past the scaffolding instead of going up the one level, so I just went through it. Thankfully, I knew my way home because I'm good with areas, and it was great being able to see the build from the distance, not even being near it, and seeing the progress I've been putting into it. As you can see, I'm more than 6 module in by now. I think this was close to the end. That was a nice pat on the back for myself. Sadly I had to die to see it. I was working on the final layer, the top layer here, where it basically covers the whole build, so it stays dark, and then it can get them to spawn at any time of the day. Um, I will say, since I've gotten this farm, I have been abusing it for levels. I've if I'm cooking, I'll just leave the game on running, and I'm farming. Um, I actually did do one overnight farm just to, I mean, not to test, but that was the first day I finished it. I wanted to reap my rewards, so I let my PlayStation on for 5 hours while I slept, and I came back to like 89 levels or something like that. It was crazy. Don't worry, those levels went into great use. I'll probably tell you in the future if you really care. If not, it went into good use. But yeah, I've been abusing the farm a little bit whenever I'm not actually playing the game or doing anything on my PlayStation. This was like finishing off the last thing that JC wants us to do, which is putting slabs on the top so creatures won't spawn up there. Obviously, uh, but it's very necessary. So just this was like the final stretch for me, like not just obviously physically but mentally, because I'm like, oh my god, just the placing blocks, placing blocks, placing blocks, placing blocks. I forgot I had to do the tops. This is another part that I didn't show earlier, but this is what you have to do on each floor too. All the empty spaces on the bottom part of the module, you have to cover trapdoors on the top. So basically, it's a certain height so the creeper spawns, because the creeper will still spawn in it. And I think he said skeletons specifically won't spawn there, but I don't know if skeletons and zombies are different height. But yeah, had to be done. Finally, I went to sleep because phantoms are not fun, and I clicked on the kill chamber to kill the creepers so I could sleep. And I noticed they weren't dying, and I was so confused and worried on what was happening. And I'm trying to jump to see if I see the trident in there, because in the build you need a trident. That's the kill machine thing for them. So it wasn't working. So I said, I'm just gonna decorate it real quick, and I'll fix it later, because it was like late at night at this point, getting close to late, and I'm like, oh god, all right, I just want to wrap this up, and just finish, so I can lay down and watch some TV or something. Or I end up not doing that anyways. I ended up playing the game with a friend a little bit, but it was still not Minecraft and placing blocks, so it was a nice break. But this, I end up trying to sneaky kill him, but I ended up having to fix the actual build because something had happened to it. As I see, the trident for some reason fell out, and I decided to check the collection system, and I realized for some reason it's not there. It's a hopper and a minecart. What had happened, or I think had happened, is somehow the trident fell through and then broke the hopper and the minecart, because it was in this chest. And so I put it back. I had to clear out the creepers that were on there. I was gonna kill them with a bow and arrow from the distance, so they don't blow up. But they ended up despawning, so it was a lot easier. And I put the thing back, the trident back. I don't know why I forgot the name, and it was working, and I was so happy because I'm like, oh, thank goodness. That's pretty much it, though. I decorate a little bit to make it look nicer and finish touches. So I won't get killed by phantoms while AFKing in it. I put walls up around here, and that's pretty much it. That's the farm. I'm so happy I have an XP farm and creeper farm.